how's that working?
You want to go out there on the street, have at it.
But I do not have time for you to use my taxpayer money on foreign aid. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second official episode of Sunday Focus. Of course, I am posting this on Monday, so it's kind of like, is it really a Sunday Focus if I'm posting it on Monday? So I'm going to call it a Sunday/Monday Focus. I needed time when it came to talking about this to really gather my thoughts and really be able to present something to you all that is true and is very honest about where I am, where the world is, and where I see all of us who believe and even those who don't fitting into that. So as always, I've got my handy dandy notebook with me, and we're just going to dive right in. Of course, we're going to dive right into the preface, but I think it's no less important than the rest of the thing. So, I wanted to start off, I didn't have this written down because obviously 3 sections with 3 points per section is how we roll around here. I wanted to start off by saying, and I don't have this written down, I'm just going to breeze right through it, right? So this video is going to be very heavy. I'm going to be talking about a lot of very heavy things, some very true things, but also very heavy things. And if you're not prepared for that, then we love to have you here, but I think maybe come back at a point where you think you will be ready for it. Also, out of all the videos that I ever have made and plan on making, this is easily going to be one of the most important. I think now more than ever, we truly understand our enemy, and I think through that we need to understand our hope as well. So the first point in my preface is Christ-centered. Ultimately, I want to keep this video about him. I don't want to keep it about me and how I've been staying up really late the past few nights because I can't sleep because of what I'm about to talk about. Ultimately, I want to keep it Christ-centered because he is our hope, he is our rock, he is our cornerstone, there's no hope outside of him. There really isn't. My second point is Ephesians 6:12. Ephesians 6:12 is one of those that I feel gets not misconstrued, but maybe mistranslated a lot. I think if you get the message of it, you're in the right boat for sure. But it's important to know what it says directly. Unfortunately, I don't have it written down here, but I would highly suggest going and looking it up for yourself. It does, however, mention how the war that we live as humans in our day-to-day lives is not ultimately against flesh and blood. It is against the powers, the principalities, the evils of this world that have taken over this world, and the small g God who dwells in this world. And I also wanted to end the preface by just saying, you are loved. You are loved, you are cherished, not only by me, not only by so many around the world, yes, you watching this video, but you're also loved by God and loved by Christ. And that is something that ultimately cannot be ignored. You can reject him, you can put him off to the side for the time being, if you so choose. I would not recommend it, but if you so choose, right? But ultimately, he still loves you, and I know for a fact that I still love you. So, today we're going to be talking about some very important documents that were released by the government just a couple of days ago. I believe it was the second to last day of January. So, the whole thing with that, I didn't have this written down, but I also want to give like a brief summary. Those documents, the 3 million emails that were released by the Department of Justice in relation to the Epstein files, are damning, to say the least. They are very telling, and it's, like I said, I think we understand our enemy's motives. I think we always have, but I see him working in the lives of everyone who is mentioned in those emails and those documents. First of all, my first point is I wanted to give an apology. I have been a very skeptical man for a long time. I have been very prideful, I have been very arrogant, and I have not been able to see the world for how it is. I was self-absorbed in the sense that I only really cared about myself. To bounce off of that and to kind of rebound from it, I have never cared more about humanity than I do now. And that is the truth. I love you all. I know I've already said that, but I genuinely love you all, and I want nothing but the best for all of you. So, let's talk about the actual files themselves, which I have written down in here just as the facts. That's the point. That's the entire title of the point, is the facts. I'm going to basically run through these and kind of breeze through them very quickly. But there's a few things I wanted to cover. So, number one, it has pretty much been confirmed that every single person involved with that man was in some way a worshiper of the enemy. That is not something that can really be debated at this point. They were worshipers of the enemy, and some of them probably still are. Those who are still alive are probably still worshipers of the devil himself. And that's something that cannot and will not be just breezed over. That is something that, these are the people in power. These are some of the most powerful people in the world. And they basically run the world. And here they are sacrificing children to Baal. And we're just supposed to be okay with that. The Department of Justice released these emails, and they basically, the undertone kind of felt like, yeah, it happened. What are you going to do about it? Like they're rubbing it in our face almost. And that has not sat right with me for the past few days. I also wanted to give my perspective on things, which I feel like I've kind of been doing just a little bit, but I really want to get into the meat and potatoes of what I believe. So if you don't know me, my name is Brevin Morrison, otherwise known as The Bee. I run this channel completely independently. I don't have anyone help me with editing. I don't have anyone help me with recording. I have funded all my equipment myself, just so I could give these messages to you guys, because I personally believe they're so important. So when we talk about my perspective on things is that every single conspiracy theory that has ever existed since 2016, maybe a little bit before then too, is more than likely right. And before these files were even released, like months ago, I was looking into them, and I was wondering, I'm like, that's kind of interesting. All your Pizzagates, your Bohemian Groves, your Frazzle Drips, which that one hit me hard, and like I feel uncomfortable even talking about any of those things, much less actually diving into detail about what each of those terms mean. So my call to you guys is to educate yourselves. Go find out what all those things mean, figure out how they relate to what is being said now officially by the government of the United States of America. So just go and educate yourselves. Also, we're moving on to the next section. I wanted to talk about Christ himself, because I think ultimately we can distract ourselves as much as we want, like, oh, these people in power are devil worshippers. But the fact of the matter is that Christ himself will always be king. There is not a single thing that will stand against that. He has built his kingdom, and the gates of hell will not overcome it. That is a verse from the Bible. And it's true. There is not a single thing that has been done, can be done, will be done to overthrow the kingdom of God. There is no possible chance that could ever happen. So, I wanted to talk about how Christ is all loving, because I think that's very important. Christ is forgiveness, and Christ is love. Jesus Christ himself is love. We cannot love each other outside of Christ without risking crashing and burning. Christ is all loving. I know I've already said that a couple of times now, but I think it's no less true. He is, in fact, the greatest form of love. Can you Can you imagine for a sec the story of Christ, okay? Which I'm assuming a lot of you maybe don't even know. He is literally receiving the worst form of torture ever conceived by humanity, outside of just like, without actually dying. It's torture. It wasn't death until he actually died on the cross. But he was tortured for, I think, like a day or two. I don't even remember, and I probably should, realistically. But can you imagine being whipped, beaten, a crown of thorns put on your head, and all you can say is, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing"? That's love. That's not... Listen, Christ himself said, love your neighbor as yourself, right? But to do what he did, I don't believe there's any other human in this world that would do exactly, like willingly, what Christ did. His sacrifice and everything that came with it ultimately was the final... There's a lot of words that came to mind just now. Judgment, death, all those kinds of things. Evil died on that cross. And I don't mean that like Jesus was evil, because he's not. He is the ultimate form of good. What I am saying, however, is that evil can no longer reign forever because of Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. There is no, listen to me when I say this, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that politicians can do, celebrities, influencers, all of these people can do. There is nothing that they can do to overcome what was done on the cross 2,000 years ago. There's not. There is not a single thing, evil as it may be, that can overcome the kingdom of God. Because that's the promise. That's the hope. I wanted to also address the second point in here, which is the judge. And that's more than just one of my favorite songs off of Blurryface. Those two words, and it's in reference to how Christ is the judge, right? He is the one who gives us our sentence if we live outside of him. And if we live with him, he also gives us a sentence, not to hell, but to be with him, right? Christ is the judge, and how this relates to what I'm talking about is that we can go online, sit behind our keyboard and on Twitter and say, oh, these people need, killed, right? Like, these people need gone. Absolutely. That's not up for humans to do. And that's something that's been really hard to come to terms with, ultimately. Because Christ is the judge. Christ will judge these people eventually. And again, the gates of hell will not overcome the kingdom. Now, for the ending that I wanted to talk about today, I want to leave you all with hope. Just like this album back here. The album always relates to what we're talking about. But I wanted to leave you all with a message of hope and of certainty. That ultimately, we are children of God. And through that, we are safe. And there is not a single thing that the powers or principalities of this world can do that will overcome that. So, thank you all for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer them. But otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Peace.